Dwarves have always been one of my favorite ancestries in fantasy role-playing games, and it is my usual default when I try out a new fantasy system. Why? Because they are fun to roleplay and make great fighters. Decades ago, I enjoyed Second Edition D&D's Complete Book of Dwarves and Forgotten Realms Dwarves Deep, as well as ICE's Moria, the Dwarven City. But in the last 10, 15 years, I don't recall any new specific books about dwarves from any of the major or minor publishers. And if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below what they are so I can look them up. And I will also really appreciate afterwards if you like this video and subscribe to this channel. Hello, my name is Manny, and welcome to Really Dicey. Perhaps the reason why we probably haven't seen new role-playing source books about dwarves is because most people nowadays know what mythological dwarves are. You don't need to do much research to create your own version of Gimli, son of Glowing, or Bruenor Battlehammer. But should that be the reason why? That didn't stop Paizo from publishing Lost Omens Highhelm, a Pathfinder Second Edition sourcebook about one of the most powerful dwarven civilizations in the world of Golarion. This book is 132 pages and contains 3 chapters. The design and art style is similar to their previous books, and just as gorgeous. Those of you who have collected the other Pathfinder Second Edition setting books, like City of Absalon, the Warring Expanse, the Impossible Lands, you will notice that Highhelm is the shortest setting book, page-wise, but it's just as dense and heavy. Those of you who are new to Pathfinder will be pleased at how much information this book contains, including history, culture, and an enormous amount of city information. And I say city in quotes because this sky citadel begins below the base of a mountain and reaches outside its peaks. Every time I go back to reread a page, I find something new and interesting about Highhelm. The first chapter contains a detailed history of dwarves, from their creation to the formation of Highhelm. I mentioned previously that you don't need much to imagine being a dwarf in a fantasy campaign, but game masters who want to make a dwarven civilization will find that a bit more challenging. They will have to constitute what makes up their morality, what are crime and divine services like. Is this civilization made up of one culture or many? The first chapter gives you about over 40 pages of answers. Some of you hardcore Pathfinder fans are already familiar with the history of dwarves in Golarion, but newer players will learn the details of how the dwarves in Golarion were made deep in the Darklands by their main god Torag, and how they ascended to the surface world during Earthfall because of their quest for sky, which eventually led to the creation of multiple sky citadels. And that's the best I could summarize their history. But those of you who are new to Pathfinder lore will enjoy the epicness of this story, which is full of tragedy, betrayal, triumphs, and victories. But for those of you who are already familiar with the history of dwarves, what makes this retelling a little different is that they focus on major historical events that can have an impact on your adventures today, should you choose to use them. Like the evil Doskari priests who once held a theocracy at Highhelm a long time ago. They are gone, aren't they? And if not for their crummy architecture, the dwarves would not have found that new load of adamantine, which has important bearings today. You also get details here on government structure, international relations, law enforcement, and some examples of Highhelm's unique laws, like what happens if you're digging in the wrong place or lying about what clan you are a part of. There's information about their military, what are the modus operandi of criminal organizations at a dwarven civilization, and some great examples of notable villains. In one section about major businesses, there's an interesting tidbit of how they get rid of organic waste and how trade within unions are more harmonious than in other kingdoms and cities in Golarion. And there's more information about currency, taxes, markets, subcultures, and countercultures. The clans, you learn about the clans that reside in Highhelm, including their ethos, their interactions with one another, and notable NPCs. Sometimes in other RPG books, these subjects can be really dry, and there's a lot here too. But the writing team does a great job in keeping you engaged and giving game masters ideas and inspirations. I'm already brainstorming potential new story ideas. The second chapter focuses just on the contents of Highhelm. Highhelm is a huge city with 5 major sections: King's Crown, King's Heart, Stonebreach, the Depths, and the 5 Kings Mountain. If you collected some of Pathfinder 2E's other setting books, you would already know they do a wonderful job of detailing an area with maps, descriptions, and this book is no different. And if you haven't collected their setting sourcebook before, not only do you get information about everything in this area, like all the buildings and the landmarks, um, but most places have an NPC you can interact with, and there are potential adventure seeds scattered throughout for your players. Nothing is wasted. There are so many potential stories alluded to in this book that you can spend whole campaigns dealing with side quests like solving mysteries, finding lost treasures, finding strange cults, and confronting crime syndicates. For example, Rakuten Galley is a restaurant known for their exotic ingredients and will pay handsomely for any strange plant or animal that might make a unique stew of some sort. Or maybe you could find children who are lost in the messenger tunnels. Or if you really want to try your luck, see if you can make money in the fight pits. Only 3 of the 5, King's Crown, King's Heart, and Stone Breach, have some new background options and special items specific to that region in the back of each section. One quick thing I want to add before I talk about the last chapter. It's barely 2 pages, but there's a section called Location and Types that support traits, which is a great way for characters to build a connection with the setting. During their characters' downtime, depending where in Highhelm they spend time at, they can get bonuses to skill rolls, earn income, and more. Last but not least, the final chapter has new options for your players, like 3 new ancestry feats, a new heritage called Forge Blessed Dwarf, which your family's patron deity has blessed you with a first level spell as an innate divine spell. There are 3 possible animal companions that are native to the 5 Mountain Kings. There's also a new dedication called Stalwart Defender, which is Captain America on his best day. You're pretty much a wall, and you allow nothing to get by you. When I play a dwarf in Pathfinder, this is the dedication I want him to go for. There's a section about Highhelm gear, like their Stronghold plate, and a new material called Keepstone that gives you bonuses against spells, and of course, a listing of dwarven legendary magic items. You also get 8 dwarven deities for clerics to choose from, and a short bestiary of just 6 creatures. I wish this section was expanded more, with perhaps more feat and dedication options. Definitely more monsters to their bestiary, but I am happy with the options presented here. In conclusion, well, in case you couldn't tell before, I think this is a fantastic book. Paizo was kind enough to send me a PDF copy of the book for the review, and I enjoyed it so much, I actually bought the physical copy as well. And the physical copy has a map of Highhelm in the back for your games. Let me just add some minor criticisms. I couldn't help to notice that there was no entry for the evil god Droskar, and I can understand that Paizo probably wants to motivate you to play good characters, which is fine. But now if I wanted to make an NPC or villain, I would have to do some guessing and homebrewing. I wish there were more monsters added and more weapons. I think players would have wanted more options, but game masters will dine well. For those of you that love the homebrew, this will be a great template to create your own dwarven kingdoms. So yes, whether you've been enjoying the lore of dwarves and Golarion since the early days of Pathfinder, or thinking that a dwarven campaign might be a great idea for your players, you'll be happy with the huge amount of new details, adventure seeds, and how it subverts typical dwarven tropes we see in other games and media, so that Highhelm feels unique. And one more quick note, Paizo is releasing a 3-part adventure path called the Sky King's Tomb that has new monsters added as well. I'll be happy to share with you my thoughts about it once I look it over. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you soon.